trying to pull that off of you. Don't be trying to pull that off.
Hello, friends. It's the 26th of September, and the last time I put up a video like this, I just checked, was October last year, 10 months ago. I can't even tell you what that video was about. But I just thought I'd check in. I was actually asleep. Vanessa's gone out with Christian and Garrett, our new family member. So they've gone out to do a few bits and pieces, and I was upstairs listening to a podcast and I fell asleep lying on the bed. Last night was the first night that we got any kind of decent sleep with Garrett. He slept through to nearly 6 this morning, which is, to quote Vanessa, was wow. So that's great. I'll definitely take more of that. So why am I reporting in? So the quest is ongoing in regards to my efforts to become enlightened, which sounds rather pompous, but it's not really. I hope you're all keeping well, because it's been so long since I've spoken to anyone. But the quest is ongoing, and what I would say is the problem I have with this quest to be enlightened is I either have a bad memory or I'm just a bit thick in that I can't seem to grasp this stuff. It's like complicated algebra. I just can't seem to get my head around it. So I think the thing is for me is you just forget and you slip back into bad habits and so on. You just slide back into it. So I had a bit of a rough year this year, health-wise. A couple of health issues. Half of it was in my head. I was suffering with chronic stress, and I got a few scans and bits and pieces like that done. But one of them, like, I went to the doctor and went to a consultant about it. But one of them was basically purely stress related. So that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to work on these things, and then I've been having a few other issues here and there. But again, the thing is, you sort of lose yourself and slide into these things. And even with all the, again, I know with all the training that I've been doing over the years and everything like that, you just forget it. I just, it's just all, it's gone. It's like it doesn't matter, although I know better. And I think part of the reason I get so frustrated is because I know that it's in my head, that a lot of this is something I should be able to sort out. But again, this is the thing that makes this road to enlightenment very difficult, because I suppose knowing the path and walking the path are two different things. And without a guru, right, that's my understanding, without some kind of spiritual teacher, or without someone like that in my life, a mentor in my life, which I don't have, it's hard to do it on your own. It is very difficult to do this on your own. And you do have to have someone who knows the way and who can show you the way. And trying to follow people on YouTube and read books and all like that, it's just no substitution, really. It's just not the same. Because what can happen is that you can slide, forget about stuff, and so on and so forth. So why am I reporting in now? Well, okay, again, I've discovered someone. So I think Robert Greene was the last person I might have been talking about, and he was very good. But again, I think the thing is, a lot of the stuff that I know, it does affect me and has an impact on me. And I think part of the reason I struggle is because I know that information's in there, but it's applying it. So anyway, I've discovered somebody by chance again on YouTube, and his name is Michael A. Singer. The Enlightened Soul is his book, the bestsellers and stuff like that as well. I keep on calling him David A. Singer. I don't know why. Who was David Singer? But anyway, his name is Michael A. Singer, and he has a couple of books out. And he's this American guy. He's a businessman actually, but he had this enlightenment experience when he was younger, and then he wrote this book. And what I would say is, it's fundamentally it's Buddhism, but it's akin to, say, Eckhart Eckhart Tolle, still struggling with his name. But it's very relatable, very interesting. So if you look it up, he has on YouTube. If you look up Michael A. Singer and you look up I think Enlightened Soul or whatever it is, something like that, and but you'll know it because it's a you know, what's it called? It's one of those talking books thing. It's when a book is read out and it's 6 hours long. You'll know that's what it is. It's very good, and he gives a lot of good tips in it that are very practical, and he explains things in a way that is very useful and very helpful to understand. So I've listened to it a couple of times now. I've listened to it once, and I'm into the fifth hour of the second listening, because the first time I was listening to it, I was kind of going, this is good. Then the second time you have to kind of listen to it again. And what's amazing is audiobook. That's the word I was thinking about. When you listen to it again, the stuff in there, you kind of go, I didn't hear any of that in the first time round. And I see comments in it, people saying they've listened to it over and over again. So I probably will listen to it 3 or 4 times, I'd say, easily. But it's very good, because it's not like Eckhart. With Eckhart, I couldn't understand half the stuff he was talking about, because a lot of it's so nebulous and very, very hard to get your head around. And he gives you these kind of parables and stuff like that. But again, a lot of it doesn't make sense. It's very hard to follow. But with this guy, Michael A. Singer, the stories he tells are very interesting, and he explains how our consciousness focuses in on things, and he gives these examples that for me relate in a strong way, and I find them very useful. But the latest development for me is to realize, and this I think is important, I think it's a last big hurdle, is to realize that, and I think I was coming to this conclusion anyway, but it's all in here. This is the thing, that when you're blaming people on stuff, and when you're getting bothered about things with other people, you have to address the issue in your head. And you have to say to yourself, why? So he gives this example. You call your friend and you ask them to go to the cinema. You want to go and see a movie with them, and then they turn you down, and your feelings are hurt. And you can't. So that happens to everybody, right? You ask someone to do something, or such and such and so and so, and then you get turned down. And he says you have to ask yourself the question, and this is a simple thing, but hugely important. What was your motivation for asking them in the first place? Was it to, to cut to the chase, basically what it is that you were doing it because you were lonely, and you were looking for somebody to ease. You were dealing with loneliness, which is painful. And what you did was you reached out to somebody, and then they turned you down. And the reason it hurt your feelings, and you probably got annoyed with the person, is because they didn't help you with your loneliness, and you had to go off and either face it, which clearly we don't want to do, or you had to deal with it yourself, which is what people don't do. And that happens so anytime you get bent out of shape over something, you have to ask yourself, what is your motivation? So I suppose Eckhart has kind of gone on about that stuff, but your man Singer, when he was saying this, I was like, yeah, I can visualize that. I can visualize that situation. And in situations where we get fearful and afraid, and where we get angry and all that kind of stuff, we have to ask ourselves, why? What is it in me that is causing this reaction? It's nothing to do with the other person. So, for example, yesterday, I was talking to Vanessa about something. And it's an ongoing conversation I'd have with her about stuff, right? But she had the baby in her arms, and he wanted to be changed. But I was selfishly talking to her about what I wanted to talk about. And I could see she wanted to go. And not only that, I've spoken to her so many times. And you know yourself when you're talking to somebody about something that I can't resolve myself. I just can't seem to get a resolution around this issue. But I'm not prepared to let it go either. And she's just fed up with it. So she had no interest, and she kind of was looking for an excuse to get out of the room. And she went, and I was really furious over it. I was very angry. But I didn't express it. I didn't go nuts or anything, because I've learned enough to go, wait a minute now. So there's no point in me having a big row and cause, which I would have done in the past, right? There's no point in me having a big row and a big argument because I know it's nothing to do with her. I know that, and I'm aware enough to know that. But the difference being listening to Singer was that I knew I needed to kind of reflect on it. His whole thing is about letting things go. That's his thing, is let it go, let it go. Now, I don't mean he uses this analogy: if the lion is running at you and it's going to attack you, obviously you need to protect yourself and act. So he's not saying just to kind of go with the flow and everything, but what he's saying is in these situations, given the opportunity, you should let these things go. So I got up and I was fuming. I was really angry. I really annoyed, but I knew again, I knew it wasn't her fault. And I knew it was me. It's something in me that I had to kind of understand why I was getting so angry in this situation. So, what my mind was telling me was that she didn't care and she's selfish and she's my wife and she should listen to me incessantly, right? So that's the thing. But deep down inside, to be fair to her, she's heard it 1,000 times before. She knows there's probably going to be no resolution about this, and she knows that I'm probably going to bring it up again. So, I can't blame her for not being interested. But so what happened was, the long and the short of it, I'm doing a bit of painting here in the kitchen, and I came downstairs and I put on a bit of music and I got into the painting. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to get into something that I'd be kind of left alone to kind of process it. And that's what I was doing. Um, my anger was visceral inside my mind. And she didn't realize. She didn't realize because I was painting. Excuse me. So then what happened was, uh, I was desperately trying to figure out in my mind why it was that I was so angry with her, and I knew it was myself. So I was kind of going, what is it in me that is making me feel this way? This anger towards her. So again, using the analogy he used, if you go to the person to go to the cinema and they say no, and you see that's the thing. That's what it comes down to. The reason I got angry and I was upset is because this ongoing issue that I have, it's not a personal or not a health issue or anything like that. It's an ongoing issue I have with a person, that it bothers me so much and causes fear in me. It makes me afraid, and I have fear and stress, that I wanted to talk about it because the talking about it relieves the pain for me in some way. And by talking about it, it makes me feel better. And then because she didn't want to really listen to me, I was forced to go off and deal with it. So really, what happened was then the bounce back from that was that I wanted to take it out on her. My anger, I wanted to take it out on her in the same way the person turned down by the person who goes to the cinema. So I spent the rest of the day, I was painting for a few hours, and we were going to go out and get a bit of lunch yesterday and stuff like that. And at some stage she was talking to me and she copped. She could tell I was angry. But Vanessa's good enough to realise, to know that when I'm like that, to leave me alone and not poke the bear. She knows that. And because I didn't kind of growl at her or give her out or anything like that, that she knew I was probably trying to process it. And so she just left me alone. She just headed off. She didn't storm off, or she didn't, she just was like, going, okay, something's bothering him. Let him figure it out. So then I sat down and I was holding Garrett during the day and everything like that. So this had gone on for a few hours. And but what Singer is all about, this is where he has commonalities with Buddhism and Eckhart and all like that, is that there's our consciousness, our consciousness in the background, and then there's our mind, right? And so this is the commonality again. That's their mind is this constant talking in your mind and criticizing and judging and thinking about things and planning and all that kind of stuff, right? That never-ending voice in your head, that's your mind. But your consciousness, as he would say, this silent witness, is in the background. And it's there always. It's the same, and it's stable and conscious and just... So what you have to do is you have to get in touch with that part of your mind. And that's what I was doing. So I was sitting here yesterday in this spot looking out the window, closing my eyes from time to time and breathing and thinking about it. And the way I could feel it was my mind in the back, my consciousness in the silent witness in the background was like a smooth wall. This is how the visual, I don't know why it pops into my mind like this, but it's in the background like this kind of smooth wall that's been there my whole life. that I'm aware of it, because from time to time over my life, like everybody, I'm sure, we've had these moments where we've somehow touched our consciousness, our deeper selves, and we've noticed it. I know I have. I noticed it as a child, and I've noticed it, say, as an adolescent and as an adult and so on. I've had these moments, and it is the same. It is the same. It's sort of like an endless, timeless part of your mind that's there, but it's sort of hidden from us, in that this mind piece, this chatter, is sort of. So what I had was, I had this visualization that there was a wall, and in the front there's like this something, this kind of like kind of bubbling, or something like that in front of it. This kind of, what pops into my mind is a sort of like maybe a kind of sausage shaped object that's bubbling, that's kind of in front of this thing, this kind of amorphous being thing that's bubbling and changing shape and all like that. And yesterday, what I was trying to do was, I was trying to see the gap between the two of them, and to go to the part of my mind where I could calm down, and then put that little bit of distance between me and that mind anger piece. And that is extremely, extremely challenging. So I sat here yesterday, but I was saying to Vanessa today, because I was talking to her about things, and I was saying to her, the next challenge that comes along will be interesting, because I'm going to see how I cope. And I wasn't expecting the challenge to be with her. I was expecting it with other people. But sure enough, the challenge popped up in my head, and I sat down, and then I think that when your mind is calmer and your consciousness is always calm, the distinction between the two of them is not as obvious. But when you're in this situation where something has happened, it becomes very obvious. So that's what I was doing yesterday. But, and I think it had a bit of an effect on me yesterday. I think I was affected by it. We went out yesterday and had lunch, and I was still kind of getting over the heat of earlier in the day, but in a more kind of circumspect, kind of calmer way. I was glad I hadn't argued, and I was glad I hadn't said anything cruel or nasty or given out. I was glad, because I didn't want to hurt Vanessa or Christian or Garrett. I don't like doing it. And but I was glad I had, and then everything's fine this morning. But I think the effort yesterday of doing it has affected me. I think I feel something, like, I'm gonna say like a door has opened, but it's not that obvious. I feel that I was able to get closer to that background consciousness. Like, I sat in it yesterday, I stewed in it. It was just, I really was in the moment, and I was like, oh yeah, I could really feel it, because it was beautiful in a way, because obviously if something like that happened in work or you're driving, there's all the distractions that you have to deal with. But the fact that I could just sit quietly and no one bothered me. Vanessa knew to leave me alone, and Christian was distracted. I was able to really sit in it. It's powerful stuff. So yeah, but that's why these things are so hard. That's what makes this so hard. But your man Singer is all about letting go, and I'm trying to do that. It's very good. I recommend you listen to the podcast or the audiobook. It's very good, very informative, and very relatable. I'll definitely listen to it again. It's very relatable what he's talking about. Very informative. But I did this video here today, and part of the reason I haven't been doing these videos is because, and even on the main channel, and I've said this in the past before, there's a level of me kind of going, why was I doing those videos? And I'm very much conscious of the fact that this is attention seeking. And I don't want to be that guy anymore. The only reason I put this up is because I'm compelled to share the information with regards to Singer to you. But I'm aware of the fact with the main channel and all those things as well, that there is a lot of attention seeking. And now when I see other people doing videos, when I watch them, when I watch YouTube videos, I wonder, I'm probably projecting onto them, but I wonder, is it attention seeking? Is something missing in their lives that they're kind of seeking this level of attention? Or what is it? I don't know. That's why I'm kind of of two minds kind of going, I'll bring back the videos next year to do the one video a day for a year. But there is a part of me that recognizes that the person that did those years ago was very attention seeking. So I'm not sure. And I'm trying to step down from all that. Because again, the whole thing is that really all of this is internal. All these issues, when people annoy you, people beep the horn at you when you're driving. That he used that example a lot. It must be a worldwide phenomenon. You know, the van man cuts you off, or someone shouting at you, or something like that as well. And I see it all the time. And you go, this is me. It's an internal thing with me. And so I think I'm trying to wind down the interaction I have with people. I think I've been doing that for some years now. Trying to, not in an adverse way, like an aversion that I don't like people. That's not the case. But I definitely think that I was seeking out people in the past to talk to them all because of attention. And I don't seem to need that anymore. So that's why doing these videos is a little bit kind of, I feel it's a little bit egoic and self-serving and so on. But if it's helpful, it's helpful. If someone listens to your man Singer and finds it useful. So that's that. That's some. I probably haven't captured the level of depth here, but it's quite deep for me. That I could really feel. It was amazing, that feeling yesterday. I could really feel the distinction between the two parts of your mind. And the way he describes it is, if you can spend more time in that consciousness, you apparently pass through it into a broader, deeper understanding. And if you listen to him and the way he describes consciousness and how our mind focuses in on things, and you can understand why you would want to be in the quieter place. Shine. That's it. If I talk anymore, I'll be just prattling on and it'll be nothing. So, yeah. I hope you're all keeping well. And thanks for listening. Bye bye.